What's going on, guys? Ponyline here. First off, I want to apologize about my absence from YouTube and Twitch. For the last few months, I have been busy with school. My PC was broken for 2 months because my motherboard fried. And on top of that, my GeForce with NVIDIA Shadowplay has been giving me all kinds of issues with audio desync, video tearing, and I've only now just got that fixed by going back to a much older version of GeForce. So with that being said, guys, I wanted to go ahead and put a video together. Recently, I was just flown out to San Francisco to go ahead and take part in the They Shall Not Pass DLC recording event. And this took place over 2 different locations. The Europeans went to Sweden and the Americans went to San Francisco. Now this included both YouTubers, streamers, as well as the media. I know a lot of you guys already seen a lot of the footage that have come out from these other personalities. I will try to keep this to a minimum in regards to the content I cover, because a lot of the footage has already been seen through CTE. People have already seen 3 of the maps that were released with the DLC, and they got a chance to play them as well in Conquest. And those maps were Fort de Val, Soissons, and Rupture. Now the newest map that was revealed at the event was Verdun Heights, and that is where we'll go ahead and start with our video. The first time we were introduced to Verdun Heights was with the new operations, Devil's Anvil, and the 2 map combination for this was with Verdun Heights as the first map, and then the second map being Fort de Val. Now, the nice thing about this operation is it doesn't have any vehicles. Verdun, no matter what game mode you play, whether it be Operations or Conquest or Frontlines, which is one of the new game modes, there are no vehicles. So instead of getting a behemoth when you fail on your push in Operations, you're actually introduced with the ability to have multiple elite level classes. So Flamethrower kit, the new Trench Raider kit, as well as I believe the Sentry kit. And this offers a nice variety, and it doesn't allow for a good vehicle player just to overtake the battlefield by himself or with a good rep crew. Now, the story behind Verdun Heights is that it's a battle-scarred area that during the war, the Germans bombarded with over 6 million artillery rounds within an hour. So obviously, a lot of destruction within the French area. And the nice touch is it's a gorgeous map, and there's fires that will natural fires on the battlefield that will catch you on fire. So you have to avoid these specific areas when you're fighting. Now, for operations on this map, the attackers are at a little bit of a disadvantage for the first set. And the reason for this is because you're running in a very open plain wooded area where the defenders have a lot of cover that they can use to their advantage. And so expect a lot of sniper gameplay, expect a lot of artillery mortars to be used to try to push up. What I found was the best option was just to go ahead and use smokes as attackers. But for me, I had a lot of fun with this first map, this introduction to Verdun Heights that we had. The weapons I used for the most part, the classes I should say, was Assault and Medic. And so therefore I pretty much focused on using the new weapon, the Ruby Roll, the 1918, as well as the RSC 1917 Medic Rifle, which is a 6-round weapon. Now for the Ruby Roll, you guys have already probably seen many videos about it. It's a 25-round mag, and for me it excels in this particular map, in these particular situations, because it's a mid to long range gun. Very accurate over range, not a fast rate of fire. It becomes much weaker up close, but at mid to long range you can tap fire it with full accuracy. But I won't be focusing too much on the guns per se, more on the modes or the maps. So back to Verdun Heights. For operations for this particular map for Verdun Heights, I liked it. As a defender, it's very easy to defend as long as you have your team spread out in this first map, but like I said, expect a lot of sniper gameplay and expect a lot of mortars to be used on this map. As you get pushed farther back up into the hills, you end up going up in elevation. So you start well within a village and you work your way up towards the top. And as your defenders or as attackers, you don't necessarily get an advantage when you have the higher ground. And the reason for this is because there's a lot of trenches and a lot of cover that the enemy can use to their advantage while pushing up. That and there's bunkers on this map. So be prepared on the maps, whether it be Conquest or in Operations, to utilize these bunkers that are underneath the ground where a lot of these points are at. But from what I found out as attacker, if you get an initial push before the team gets set up, it's not too hard to push back. Once you get past that first set on Verdun Heights for the Operations, it's not too hard to go ahead and push through. Now Conquest, I found that the French side had a little bit too much of an advantage. I played, I think, 4 to 5 times at Conquest, and the French side never had a chance. All I think they would need to do to tweak this to make it a much more viable option or much more fun map, much more balanced, is to just open up the side of the spawn at E in Conquest. And by doing that, it would go ahead and allow you to go ahead and venture out more. You won't get bottlenecked within your spawn. But otherwise, I believe that Verdun Heights is a very gorgeous map, a very fun map to play, and hopefully with a few tweaks and balancing of the map itself, it will become a very popular map that people want to play. The second map of the Devil's Anvil operation takes you to Fort Naval. Once again, another infantry map, no vehicles, and it starts you outside as you work your way inside the bunker. This will obviously be one of the more popular maps of the DLC. People really seem to like this style of gameplay, and it gives them a bit of a reminder of Operation Lockers, minus the fact that there's not choke points everywhere. There's much more options for you to go ahead and do a flank around your enemy, and therefore makes it more chaotic. You don't know where enemies are going to be coming from, and it gives people those only in Battlefield moments where they get those 5 to 10 guys in front of them where they can flank behind and get those massive killing sprees. So I expect to see this map to probably be the most played map of the They Shall Not Pass DLC. As I said before, since there's a lot of footage already of Fort Naval from the CTE gameplay, as well as there's a lot of personalities that are going to cover this map in much more detail, I'm going to go ahead and go to the next topic, which is probably my favorite addition to Battlefield 1, and that is going to be the Trench Raider Elite Kit. Typically, with every elite class that has been introduced into Battlefield 1 so far, you start with a very powerful primary weapon, such as the flamethrower, the LMG, the anti-tank rifle, but this class is a little bit different. The Trench Raider kit actually starts you with a secondary weapon, a melee weapon is your primary. It comes with a spiked club, and this spiked club is extremely powerful. You get a secondary weapon as a pistol in case that people are actually able to get away from you, but I didn't really spend too much time trying to utilize the pistol. I spent my time actually using the melee weapon because this kit was a lot of fun. Unlike the other elite classes where you typically are much slower, it takes you a while to get to your enemies, this actually keeps you at the same speed, if not a little bit faster than a typical soldier would be. It also gives you full maneuverability, so in other words, when people are coming at you with the Bayo charge, you can't really get out of the way. This gives you the ability to actually dodge. You can do the slides, you can do everything a typical soldier would do with this elite class. And on top of that, it gives you a medic box, which allows you to heal yourself very fast. So you can take a pounding from the enemy and still go ahead and get away and do some damage. Now, as I was saying, the club itself is, for the most part, a one-hit kill. There was one situation where I did hit an enemy in the back and didn't kill him immediately, but otherwise, one hit. And the best way I found to utilize this class was to go ahead and just keep dodging, keep weaving, use cover to your advantage, because you can hit them in one hit and kill them immediately while they can pretty much only Bayo charge you or shoot you to death. And the other thing that is important that I found out is that it's momentum based. As soon as you start swinging the club around, you start slowing down. So make sure you're right by the enemy before you start swinging your club or you're behind cover. Now, unfortunately, I lost the best footage I had of using this class. I think I had 20 kills in 3.5 minutes. And it was just lost with the Elgato capture footage. So, oh well, I would have made a solo video about that alone, but hopefully this footage right here gives you a good idea of what this class is like. It is definitely my favorite addition to the They Shall Not Pass DLC, and I think a lot of you guys will enjoy this class as well. The other thing to note that I found out from this DLC was that these maps work very well for Pigeon Carrier mode. I had my most fun rounds, I think, playing this game mode because it was back and forth. It was a lot more open in terms of once a pigeon is released, except from Fort Naval, pigeons can be taken out. So it leads to much longer games, much more intense games, and this Trench Raider Elite kit on this map in particular was absolutely deadly. The last new addition I'll be going over with the They Shall Not Pass DLC is the new game mode that was implemented, and that is called Frontlines. It'll remind you of Tug of War in the sense that it's a mix of Conquest and Rush. It starts with the Conquest aspect where there's 3 middle flags that you have to fight over with the enemy. And how it works is it will start in the middle, and everyone will rush to that point where they will go ahead and fight to see who can go ahead and get that objective first. If you end up getting that objective, you will push the enemy back to the next set, which will be their C or A, depending on which side you're going from. And once you push up, there's a little buffer time. You have to go ahead and rush up to that new point as fast as possible, but you will then go ahead and once again fight it out to go ahead and try to capture that flag. if you push them back again, it will get to the point to where their last set that they're supposed to be able to defend is going to be 2 telegraphs, basically MCOMs, rush. This is where the rush aspect will come into play. And once you get to this point, you get 40 tickets to go ahead and arm both objectives, blow them up, and you will go ahead and win that game mode. If the enemy is able to go ahead and defend against your push, they will go ahead and push you back to the previous conquest aspect flag that you were fought at before. And the good thing to know is that if you do actually blow up one of their telegraphs, then it will actually go ahead and count if you push them back to that point again. They only have 1 more. You won't have to go ahead and blow up both again. I had a lot of fun with this game mode. I thought that if the teams are relatively balanced, it can lead to a lot of good gunfights, a lot of good gameplay. It can lead to some extended games as well, because if you keep pushing back and forth, eventually you're going to run out of time. And the winners decided at that point. Whoever has the most flags or whoever's pushed up the farthest at that point will go ahead and get the win. It is important to know that vehicles do come into play into this game mode. I wasn't able to determine exactly when the vehicles spawn in because it was not at the beginning of the game, but they do spawn in at some point. It is important to work as a team to take out the enemy vehicles when they do spawn in, because if you don't, the vehicles play a very, very important role in determining whether you win or you lose on Frontlines. I hope you guys found this information useful. It's good to go ahead and make videos again, and I do plan on coming out with a Battlefield Moments video here within the upcoming weekend. If you guys have any questions in regards to the DLC or any topics that I covered in the video, by all means feel free to ask in the comment section below. Until next time guys, have a good one.